Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about the Ascendant and how the Ascendant is you. And I started this series talking about the Ascendant, but even if you don't have this rising sign, it's important to listen to because I'm going to talk about the chart ruler. What is the chart ruler? It's a planet that rules your ascendant. And what is the ascendant? First of all, the ascendant is the sign that's rising at your time of birth. It sets up your whole chart, and it's who you are. So many people think their sun sign is who they are. But no, the rising sign, because it is the determinant of where all the planets are going to be falling in your chart, it is giant. It sets up your entire horoscope as who you are, the first house, which is the ascendant. So before I continue on, remember, if you would like to learn Vedic astrology from me, you can become part of my university, which is University of Vedic Astrology.com. And also, if you want to receive my free newsletter, go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. And sign up for my free newsletter. You'll get all of my predictions to your email address weekly. And remember to check out my spiritual jewelry while you're there. So let's continue on with who you are as a rising sign. Now, if you have Taurus as your rising sign, this means that Venus, which rules Taurus, is your chart ruler. And that tells you so much about yourself. You see, Taurus is the sign that is down to earth. It's an earth sign. It's fixed. And it really just loves the earth. Everything to do with the comforts of this planet, sensuality, Tauruses love. They love the earth. They love everything to do with it, such as even the ground that we stand on, the dirt. They love dealing with plants and flowers, digging in the ground, watching things grow. They're very, as we say, down to earth. And Taurus, by the fact that it's ruled by Venus, loves things of beauty, especially the environment, such as a beautiful scenery, you know, going and looking at mountains, the ocean, the trees. Tauruses love nature. And the other aspect is Tauruses also love the materialistic comforts of the world because the second sign, being Taurus, also relates to the second house of money. So Tauruses are usually pretty good with money and they have great earning capabilities. But most of all, when I think about the sign of Taurus, I think about a kindness, a sense of an appreciation for beauty and the arts. It's ruled by Venus. And the other aspect of Taurus is since they love nature, they love animals. I mean, every Taurus that I know loves going to the zoo because they love to look at everything that's from nature and animals. They love food. They love to eat. They love everything to do with this earthly experience. That's Taurus. So Taurus is, by the fact that it's ruled by Venus, they can be very, very creative. And wherever Venus goes in your chart, the first house ruler, being Venus, will tell you volumes about who you are and what you're interested in throughout your entire lifetime. So let's talk about if you're Taurus rising and your Venus sits in the second house. That means that you are incredibly capable of taking care of yourself and making money, and you will be very successful. That means that you have this creative mind, because that means you have Venus in Gemini. You have this mind to really think about how to make money And Venus being in the second house, you communicate beautifully. You say things so well. People listen. You have a sweet, kind voice and a positive way of saying things that makes people listen. And you may even be a singer, because Venus being in the second house of the voice, plus being in Gemini, you have a beautiful tone to your voice, whether it's for speaking or singing. And with it being in Gemini, you love to talk. So let's say you have your chart ruler, which is Venus, in your third house. This means that you have Venus in Cancer. And this means that you love to communicate. You communicate with heart, with feeling, with emotion, because Venus is in the third house of communication skills. Also, it could mean that you have a younger sibling, and it may be that it's a sister. And if not, sometimes it can even mean you're the youngest one. But you have a close relationship with a sibling, with Venus, chart ruler, being in the third house. But you have an amazing way to put things into words, because you have the ability to write beautifully, to express yourself through the written word. That would be Venus in the third house. And with Cancer, you do it with emotion and feeling. So if your chart ruler goes to, oh, and one more thing, Venus being in that house will also mean you have a love of travel, and that you'll have opportunities for travel. Now, let's say that your chart ruler goes to the fourth house. Venus being in the fourth, this would mean your Venus sits in Leo. And this means you have great expression, especially when it comes to decorating your home, making it beautiful. You're probably very close to your mother, and your mother's very powerful. She can even be like royalty, or think she's royalty. And Venus being there can also represent a love of the home environment, and a love of real estate. And at times, if you were to go into a Venus cycle, there could be a change of residence as well. But there's a strong love of the home, the family, and real estate. So if you have your chart ruler in your fifth house, that means you have Venus and Virgo. And yeah, Venus is debilitated in Virgo, but being in the fifth house, it still represents that you have a lot of creative abilities, and that you want children generally. Venus, the chart ruler, going to the fifth, you will be associated with your children throughout life, but you will have a child probably that's extremely hypercritical but creative. Yes. And Venus also being in the fifth house means you have your own creative talents in and of themselves. But you know, you've got to watch these issues around being too critical in relationships and love, because the fifth house does deal with love. All right, so let's say you have your chart ruler in the sixth house. That means that you have Venus in Libra. Libra is the most beautiful sign for Venus to be in. You have an attention to health and healing. You love fitness, to stay looking great, and you're always improving yourself to make yourself look and feel better. Also work. You work around positive people, and you love your coworkers, or you have good employees. And probably you would love animals and pets. Now, if you have your chart ruler Venus in the seventh house, then this means that you have Venus in Scorpio. And that would mean a very passionate partner. But you got to watch, because this partner is probably pretty good looking in and of themselves. They have a charisma about them, and they attract many other people. And that can cause some issues around jealousy. So you've got to watch that. Venus in Scorpio in the seventh house. Now let's go to, if you have your chart ruler in the 8th house. This means you have Venus in Sagittarius. You're always searching for the truth. You're always digging deep. But life hasn't been so easy because when you have the ruler of the 1st in the 8th, you will deal with some issues around disgrace, humiliation, but you overcome it and become above it, and you're able to be successful because of this. You've learned humility. And with it being in the 8th house, you have a love of metaphysics and spirituality, and possibly even astrology. This is the 8th house. You're very intuitive. So if you have your chart ruler in the 9th house, that means that you have Venus in Capricorn. You are so practical. Venus in Capricorn, work, business, you're always, you would never think of not being there on time, but you get along with people and you have such a good feel for truth and spirituality. These are such important issues to you, and you will have a good close association usually with your father. And there's a love of travel and education, higher education, college, school, those type of things, teaching. Now, if you have your chart ruler in the 10th house and you have a Taurus rising, then Venus is in Aquarius in the 10th. You love anything to do with the creative arts, and even your career can be very creative. Maybe something in design or something to do with fashion or anything to do with makeup or hair or things of that nature. But at the same time, even if you're not in one of those professions that deal more artistically, you're incredible in business and very successful. Your boss loves you, or you may become the boss. Now, if your chart ruler, being Venus, sits in your 11th house, this is the house of great gains. And it means you make a lot of money from your work, because Venus is exalted in Pisces. This is extremely powerful. You have the capability of becoming very wealthy through your own efforts, because the 11th house is the second from the 10th. Your ability to make money. So Venus here also can mean that you're the oldest one of all your siblings, or if you do have an older sibling, that they are very beautiful or very successful. Now, if your chart ruler goes to the 12th house, this means you have Venus in Aries in the 12th. And this is your chart ruler going to the 12th. You don't like to be out publicly. You want to hide behind the scenes. And you honor and need and value your time alone. And Venus actually in the 12th house will bring wealth and money, but you need your time alone to be creative, and that's what you love to do. Also, you would have very vivid dreams, and you sleep very well. And sleep's important to you. This is where you feel most rested. This is the chart ruler in the 12th, being benefic Venus. And there's also a love of traveling to many foreign places and connecting to foreign people. You will have world travels. So with that, I've covered, if you have your chart, if you are a Taurus Ascendant, and where your ascendant ruler, being Venus, resides in your chart, speaks volumes as to who you are and what your life is about. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like to join my university, once again, check it out, University of Vedic Astrology.com. But don't forget to sign up for my free newsletter on my website. Go to galacticcenter.org. Thank you.